NOSFERATU. More like NOSFERATunes. Welcome to Pink Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name in the original book is Gareth Blackler, and joining me is the copyright-free German translation, James Barron. Hello.
Hi there, Gareth. I'm rising up from my grave to get on the mic. How's it going?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
It's going well.
I like being a German translation of myself. That's great. I'm translated from the original script. Man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's very good.
Oh.
The spooky energy, just in of itself. Germany.
Yeah.
Shout outs to you for being a spooky place.
Yeah. What can you say?
Not much. Oh, man. But we've got NOSFERATU this time.
Oh, yes.
An original Oogie Boogie here on the show in 1922. Dracula adaptation, effectively. And this is like...
Without any of the rights.
Yeah. It was like, they just did it, and they were like, well, we've got to change the name, I guess, so have him be NOSFERATU, you know? He's not the Count, so we changed all the characters' names. And then, when it was translated, they changed all the characters' names again. So that's going to be real confusing, depending on what version we watched. For sure. Yeah.
Well, I think we both watched the version that's available for free on streaming at wikipedia.org.
Yes, that is true. Downloaded fresh from the source, where I watch all my movies, if at all possible.
Yeah, I go to Wikipedia to watch movies and listen to the pronunciation of actors' names.
Yep, that's good. I like to find out how many degrees I am away from Kevin Bacon. And that's
of course.
Yeah.
I like to just find when someone's written a page that's just a little too long and someone's flagged it, it's like, this is too long. And you're like,
oh, yeah.
Well, what else are they supposed to do? This is the knowledge page.
Yeah, someone needs to do that for our show. They just need that little footnote that says, could use cutting down a bit. Oh, well.
Oh, no.
Just a wee roast on ourselves. But yeah, NOSFERATU. Have you seen it before? Were you aware of this spooky boy?
Okay, first off, thank you for steering me away from Wikipedia. I could have talked about that forever.
No problem.
But for no joy of the listener. To be completely honest, I knew of NOSFERATU. The only thing I knew was from the season 2 SpongeBob episode.
Yeah.
Where he shows up at the very end and they all like scold him by saying NOSFERATU.
Yeah, the spooky
and that's
episode.
Yeah, it's a very good one. I knew nothing. I assumed the guy's name was NOSFERATU, and I'm very disappointed that it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, he could well be a NOSFERATU, you know. You could call him by his name. Call me by my name. Like, it's all good.
Little Nos X.
Yes. Oh my god, he should do that. That would be fantastic. Oh my god, just... he would be amazing dressed up as NOSFERATU, like no lie, man.
Heck yeah.
I'm very similar.
Sorry.
In that, like, I only knew NOSFERATU from that SpongeBob episode, but I'm doing for some reason I've decided to do the deep classic horrors this time around.
Yeah.
I'm the nostalgia man now for some reason. I don't know what's gotten into me, but I'm living in the deep past. But that's fine.
Well, I was initially like, oh yeah, very similar NOSFERATU and House on Haunted Hill. And then I had to like check myself because those are 30 years apart. They're just black and white.
There is a world of difference between the two, just in terms of like filmmaking. Like everyone is very 60s in in House on Haunted Hill, or like 50s, I guess. But NOSFERATU, is of another era entirely. This is the first movie that we've had where it was a silent movie, for one. Like, apart from A Trip to the Moon, but the first movie that had the on-screen captions for dialogue. So
yeah,
like obviously no dialogue in the movie, and it would have been one of those movies that was shown in front of an orchestra performing terrifying classical tracks, presumably. I don't know. Maybe they're just improvising. Or there was
all the music's been lost. I think there was a score, but a lot of this movie was lost because the widow of the Stroker estate, realized it was just Dracula with a different name and like ordered most of it destroyed.
Fair. Yeah, there's nothing more spooky than a like destroyed tape of a film, right? Like, we're uncovering the hidden knowledge, but it has since been revived and risen from its grave, from its tomb, for the public to enjoy, and became a sort of a classic. It's one of the better depictions of Dracula, really, and it like sets a lot of rules for vampires that hadn't existed, like added to the mythos pretty significantly, which is cool. Yeah. So vampire origins.
Yeah, I just love how sickly this boy is, and like being a vampire has made him this way, as opposed to like the charming other Dracula you kind of get.
Yeah,
like, I guess the one that naturally led to Robert Pattinson. Well, not the person, the Edward Cullen, and like the sexy vampire crazes of the 80s and 2000s.
Yes. Yeah. They all have a lineage to this one weird dude.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Goodness me. Yeah. Imagine if in Twilight they were all Nosferatus and it was like real obvious that they were creepy.
Yeah. But everyone was just real into
Cullen
them anyway.
Yeah.
Just being crushed on by teenagers. Being like, man, I want to be like fucking Count Orlok. He's so dreamy. Oh my god, amazing. Should we do it? Wow. Should we talk about this spooky boy and his activities?
Yeah, for sure. What would we do? If we didn't, we'd just have to talk about Wikipedia for another 3 hours. And...
We'll save you from that horror, listener, and deliver you to this one as we sync it with Pink Floyd, as we do every week. Okay, opening title, Speak to Me, you know what we're doing. This movie's based on the book by Bram Stoker, Dracula, as you know. Have you ever read Dracula, like the actual book? I haven't.
I thought I had, but I think I've read, because it's public domain now, so you can rip it off as much as you want. I've read an unauthorized young adult sequel.
Whoa!
Yeah, I wish I could remember anything about it. Odds are it's by an Australian author, because most books in Christchurch libraries were from Australian authors, especially in the young adult section. So I stayed in the young adult section too long. I could have just moved on to like adult books, but I like drained the Christchurch library system of the young adult section right up until I was maybe like 16. And I remember reading this like sequel. It was also written like a diary, like the original novel. Yeah. I just remember reading that in Sydney on a family holiday and just, enjoying the sunshine, but coming to bed and being spooked every night.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Dracula 2 Lost in the Outback. I love it.
It definitely informed how I was on that holiday because I was really transfixed with trying to find a t-shirt of the band Muse. Like, I would go to the theme parks and then we'd get home, everyone's tired, they're sitting around the pool. I'll go for a walk down to like the nearest CD store and be like, do you guys have any Muse t-shirts? And I found out that there was a licensing... This is the Nosferatu episode, but there was a licensing thing in Australia where the band Muse couldn't print any merch and sell it.
Damn. Now that's an oogie
because Australian copyright is wild.
Yeah. Jeez. I mean, there are many creatives that can relate to searching for your Muse, Gareth, so I think you're in good company.
Oh, wow. It's been, 15 years since that holiday, and I can't believe I didn't make that pun.
Well, I'm here to save the day. I disappear. I turn into a cloud of bats as the pun vampire. Oh, God. Yeah, so we get like the opening credits here with all the different characters that will appear in the play. Like the players are going to be on screen, you know, like you've received the program at the start. We've got a guy called Max Schreck, which I'm thrilled to announce plays Count Orlok or Count Dracula, depending on who you are. Shout out to Schreck.
Max Schreck, also the name of my Tumblr.
Oh man, was Shrek's first name Max the whole time? That would change the films.
Because then Fiona is married and become Fiona Schreck.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I always assumed. That she becomes Fiona Schreck. That is how I've been describing it on the forums.
Oh yeah. Max Schreck.
Yeah. Anyway, shout outs to you, Max Schreck. You're great as in your performance here.
The maximum.
We've got a guy called Reinfeld, who is sort of like an Igor type that we'll find out more about. We've got estate agent Harker, who is our main boy, our friend, and his wife, Nina. We've got a couple of friends, extraneous, like that look after Nina. We've got a professor, a town doctor, and a captain of a ship and his first mate, all introduced right here. There's, I just like I like the idea of introducing all the characters right here at the top of the show, so that everyone's paying attention.
Yeah,
and yeah, we get like an excerpt from, I think, direct from the book, right? A lot of these are from Dracula, the actual story. But like I don't know how much of it is extrapolated out, I don't quote me on any of this, but we've got
none of it was from the unofficial sequel, so don't worry about
that. Good. Yeah, there's like various quotes about like Nosferatu, the name alone could chill the blood, Gareth. As we are getting into Breathe. The title cards are on screen for a long time in this movie. Not the title cards, the caption cards, just so that you can read. And I really appreciated that from a note-taking perspective, but not from a movie-watching perspective. But yeah,
absolutely.
But yes,
it's like 1.5 times reading time, I think. That's what I found it as.
Maybe people read slower back in the day because they had less practice. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, they could only. I was going to say they could only read by it while the sun was up, but I think if they're making cinema, they probably had electricity.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, this film is set when they probably didn't have electricity, so you kind of you're half there. You know, it's for all the 1800s folks out there that have waited in their tombs to watch this film.
Finally, a film for us.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, we've got Jonathan Harker and his innocent wife Nina. It all started with them, Gareth. And yeah, we see Jonathan Harker preparing to go to, I guess, his boss. I don't really know the relationship with Renfield, but whatever. And it's just like introducing these characters. And we see his wife, Nina, who's just in a window playing with a cat with like a little pendulum. It took me way too long to notice the cat. I thought she was just messing around, like trying to hypnotize herself. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, there's a cat there. Quality of this film from Wikipedia.com, not strong, as you can imagine. Yeah. Like, this was very, very old film. But I don't know if there's a better version we could have watched. I don't know. Like, I feel like Trip to the Moon was in higher quality than this. And that's from, like, the ancient past. So, I don't know. Bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Trip to the Moon, they probably put a little more effort into fixing, whereas Nosferatu, you try to fix it, you just get too scared.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he slipping off the reel because you're shaking in your boots. You know?
Yeah.
The projectionist is too scared. That's when you're worried.
Covering their eyes and the projector.
Yeah. No one's loving that. Yeah, so they're like hanging out, and he gets her some flowers, shows that they're very much in love. There's a lot of overacting, as you can imagine, because they really need to showing these expressions through the old film. So it's all smiles and big, like they really accentuate the way that they're talking so that you can see that before a title card comes up. Yeah.
I guess they've only had theatre to go by. They don't know that you're supposed to act a little more subtle when you're not on stage.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange. I don't, like, it could just be. Yeah, I think it's probably product of the time, but yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's heading off to work or whatever. He's been called somewhere by Reinfeld, and there's a guy who stops him on the street. Who says, "Wait, young man, you can't escape destiny by running away." And this appears on screen right as Pink Floyd sing "Race Towards an Early Grave" at the end of Breathe. So, prophetic. Yeah, don't know what this guy's deal is. Have you ever been stopped on the street when someone's and just says like, "You cannot escape destiny, Gareth"?
Oh yeah,
it's like that.
Honestly. I get stopped a lot. I think I'm just too polite and open-faced, but I've had people... Oh, yeah? I was riding my bike years ago and someone wanted to talk to me about Lou Reed for ages. Wow. And so I politely listened to that. More recently, I was like eating lunch at the park, and I've actually got two stories from the same park.
Wow.
A guy came up and told me an incredibly long story about how he once represented New Zealand in firewalking.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. And notice that was one sentence of information, but this guy, he doled it out, that information. He took his time.
Man, he raked you over the coals.
Exactly.
Dang.
But the ultimate best conversation with a stranger I've had was, oh goodness, I was sitting in the same park on the bench eating my lunch, and a guy came up, told me I was pretty, and performed a improvised rap for me.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I should have ran home and like jotted it down, but I didn't want to, steal his flow. So all I remember is that he insulted my fictional wife during the rap.
Whoa. Damn. Yeah. That's a weird way. That's a weird flex.
Broke the flow and apologized.
Okay. Wait, he apologized mid-flow?
Yeah, he was like, sorry about that. That, it was obviously too caught up in the flow, but,
Wow. Impressive. Yeah. Man, he's so used to insulting people's wives. He just worked in it and he's like, oh, no. Sometimes when the flow takes you, you don't know where you're going. Man, the dangers of freestyle
His deal
rap.
With the devil.
Yeah.
His deal with the devil, didn't allow him to... He could... write the perfect rap, but at every point during the verse, he had to insult somebody's wife.
Dang. Man, that's... I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, devil.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, I love the energy of that.
What about you? Has anyone stopped you and warned you?
No, we were talking off mic earlier about how the freestyle rap thing also happened to me.
I can't believe I forgot. I didn't put those two together, actually, and tell you that story earlier.
Yeah, I'll repeat it here. I was walking down the street having a rough day, and I was wearing this awful shirt that I didn't like. I don't know why I was wearing it. It was still just part of my wardrobe. I think I was so far behind on washing that I had to resort to a shirt that I didn't like. Anyway, I was neither here nor there. Walking home, and a guy is just walking along freestyle rapping and starts rapping about me. Because I am in his vicinity, and says that he insults my shirt and then said that I didn't respect his flow. And fair play on the shirt, honestly. Part one of my complaint. But part two, I was fully respecting his flow. I don't know where he got that from. I was disappointed by his lack of judgment there. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if they were the same person.
Oh,
the guy just
probably?
kept freestyling until he reached Auckland.
I think that guy was suffering from like a freestyle curse where he couldn't stop freestyling. That's what it felt like. Yeah. I've also I got stopped once walking. This is with so many stories. I got stopped once walking home again by someone who just like came up to me and said hey, and then did a backflip and then just kept walking, and I was like, what? Which is an incredibly powerful energy. They like put their hand on my shoulder and went hey, and then did a backflip. I was like, whoa.
That has blown my tiny mind. You have added 5 years to my life with that story.
It was great. Like from standing
it's the hay
position.
that does it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was extremely powerful. I assumed that they were like God walking the earth. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Shall we get back to Nosferatu now that we've talked about all these times?
Nosferatu could be any film. Like, it could be the greatest film of all time, and it won't top hey, backflip.
That's true.
The perfect script.
The perfect script. Oh, man. Yeah, that's the sketch I'm going to retire on. Yeah. So, we get into the Reinfeld's office or whatever, and he's this weird Igor looking guy. I described him earlier. Like straight up, and he's like, I don't trust him immediately. He's poring over this document that looks like it's covered in demonic runes.
Yeah.
Later on it's like it's supposed to be a real estate agreement, I think, which is really funny that it's written with all these like arcane symbols on it. But on the back there is a very crude drawing of a house, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he's a weird guy. But he's like saying that that Harkin has to go and visit the Count. He's got money to spare and he likes throwing it around, and he's wanting to buy a house in our city. And so he's going to go over there. It's another real estate story. Who knew?
Yeah.
And he says it's going to be a marvelous journey that may cost him in pain and blood. It's like, all right, stop selling, I guess. Like, I mean, they laugh about it like that was a sweet gag, but I don't know. Maybe the cadence doesn't come across in the caption card, but
yeah,
it's worded better. But anyway,
I can't think of a fun, friendly way to say pain and blood.
Yeah, right. Oh, that'll cost you in pain and blood. Bloody, I got him. Oh, God. We get the crash sound and On the Run here, but it doesn't really sync up with much. It's just sort of Renfield staring into the distance while I think Harker tries to find the place on the map in the background. He just sort of looks around. I think it's supposed to be like, oh, he's sinister, Renfield. He's got something else going on. Or Reinfeld. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Reinfeld, I think, is correct, actually.
That sounds right.
Yeah. He says, do not pay attention to the people there if they describe it as the land of phantoms, which is fair enough. I wish my city was described as the land of phantoms, but it is not. Yeah.
I guess you just pay it attention and then,
it's true.
Doing what he wants.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But he's off to the Carpathian Mountains. The Carpathians, which I believe are real mountains. I think that's a thing. I don't know. Probably not. And all the clocks go off as we get into time when Nina is receiving the news that Hark is going to go off to talk to the Count, and she's like, oh no, my beloved is leaving. Nina, I've noticed here, she looks a lot like a female Noel Fielding. And I couldn't get that out of my head the whole time. Just I think Noel would be great in this role. just as the wife of a victim of Dracula, I think he was born to play, you know?
Yeah, I'm for it. They're supposed to be, is it Robert Eggers, the guy who did The Lighthouse and The Witch?
Right,
The Witch. Is supposed to be remaking this with
cool.
Anya Taylor-Joy. But, like, I think he's stopped and started on it. Like, I don't think he actually thinks he's worthy of remaking it. But he's also put in a lot of time and effort in remaking it, so he's like, it could go either way. But yeah, I think he's just cast Noel Fielding in it. Let's get that official.
Perfect. Yeah. Get dunked, Anya Taylor-Joy. You're out. It's Noel's time.
No, she could. What if she played Nosferatu?
Okay. All right. I'm back on board. She could do that. Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, I think the idea is he holds Nosferatu in too much reverence.
Yeah.
So, like, just do something crazy with it.
Yeah, female Nosferatu. Let's go.
Heck yeah.
The people are ready. It's been 100 years. I think it's time.
Some, like, ancient man logs into Reddit to complain. Like, a female Nosferatu, my childhood is ruined. Sent from my typewriter.
Yes, sent from my stone tablet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. But anyway, yes, Harker prepares to go, prepares his bags, gives his wife a big old kiss and hug several times as they're leaving. Yeah. And it's explained that she's going to go stay with friends, in case you were worried what is happening with her. I really liked that. And then, we're rolling into time, and he's saddling up his horse and riding off. A lot of weird cuts in this movie as well. I don't think they'd really figured things out. But yeah, there's a lot of strange cutting between. They're like, well, we can't get this horse to behave. Especially when there's a horse on screen, things are very jumpy. But yeah. So he goes on his journey and he stops off at an inn, part of the way there. Presumably this is like a surrounding village as we get into the opening vocals of time. And he's just stoked to be there, orders dinner, and he's like, hurry it up, I'm on my way to the Count's castle. Which is a record scratch moment for everyone else in the inn. Yeah. They are just like, no, he did not just say that. Because they are afraid of the Count. They're afraid in general as well, because they say that the evil spirits become all powerful after dark. And it's like, okay, all right, fair enough. I just wanted a leg of lamb here at the inn, but thank you for that. Yeah, he goes and posts up for the night in the world's weirdest looking bed. This bed is like 5 feet off the ground for no apparent reason, and made out of like huge bits of wood. It looks incredibly uncomfortable, but he's still loving it at this point. Hark is having a great old time. But in the middle of the night, we're looking around outside, and there's fucking hyenas out there.
What? I forgot about that.
They're like wild. I think they're either wild dogs, but this looks like a real hyena, and I'm like, where the fuck did they get this? Bizarre. But yeah, it's freaking out all the horses and all kinds of stuff, and all the people are scared and locking themselves inside. Yeah, it's a very strange sequence. And Harker just looks out the window and he's like, whatever. Bloody hyenas keeping me up. And yeah, he slams the window shut right when we get the tempo change in time. So the song slows down. He's like, enough of that. And we just move into the next bit. I'm very happy with that. Yeah. And then he's like, now time for some bedtime reading. I'm going to read the Book of Vampires. The bumper book of vampires he has here, published by Bram Stoker, I presume. Just a holiday read, Gareth.
Yeah. Hey, it worked for me in Sydney.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it starts very well. It says, in 1443, The first Nosferatu was born, and you should never speak the Nosferatu's name aloud. In fact, me doing this is, I'm going to be saying Nosferatu a hell of a lot, so we're in trouble. Like, probably not in Candyman trouble, but Nosferatu trouble. He's very slow moving, so I feel like I'm going to be okay, at least until the end of the show.
Yeah. And he has to, like, get himself and all his coffins onto a boat first. So
oh my God.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I think he'll be fully capable of that. He's got the strength when he needs it. But yeah, he's just reading this book, and it's just good times. Hark is like brushes it off. He's like, "Oh, what a funny story," and he puts it down and goes to bed. And right as we go into Great Gig, the next morning breaks and comes in, light floods the room, and that's a good sync for me. Like the song change and the day change. Happy about that.
Yeah.
The people are outside desperately trying to recover some very blurry horses that have escaped after the hyena attack in the middle of the night. And fair enough. But yeah, he picks up the book and has another bit of a read. And it says that men do not recognize the dangers of beasts at certain times. And he's like, well, now this book's taking it personal. And he just like slam dunks it into the ground.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh,
it's like, this book offended me.
Yeah. I'd love to see someone slam dunk a book. Books have had it good too long.
Damn, get dunked, books. Your time is over.
Do you reckon this was... Yeah, this is probably it. Like, movies were a new technology, and they're like, we don't need books anymore. Look what we're literally going to do to a book on screen.
Wow. It was a fuck you from the director. He's like, get this old media shit out of here.
Yeah.
It's movies now, baby. German experimental film.
Yeah. Whatever comes next is a scene where they dunk a movie onto the floor in anger.
Oh, yeah.
It just keeps going.
Yes. I love that. I love that visual. Just someone picking up a reel of film, just throwing it on the ground. That's what we're doing every time we record a podcast.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a fact. But yeah, so he after doing that weird move, he doesn't even weird a move. He's wearing like a sort of bathrobe thing, an 1800s bathrobe, and he just starts like tearing it apart and turning it into like a towel skirt. I don't know why he does this. Maybe this is a thing that's lost to time, but
yeah,
I don't know what this is for. Maybe he's like doing it so he can put his shirt on. It's very strange to me, but I don't know what is happening.
I genuinely thought we were going to just see him naked.
Yeah, I thought so
that's
too.
An interesting thing for the 20s.
Yeah, thankfully we do not. He maybe that's what was going on. He was taking the audience into consideration. He's like, well, they don't want to see me nude.
Yeah.
I'll just maneuver this robe that I'm wearing. Very strange.
Maybe every morning you wake up, you're supposed to tear your pajamas into pieces to say that it's waking up time.
Yeah, you put on a new pair. That's what you do at an inn when they provide you with pajamas. You assume that more ones are coming, and you just tear the ones that you have on. You're like, wow, I threw those away. What are you talking about?
Yeah, where's my fresh one?
That was a bathrobe provided for your room, sir, not for you. What do you mean? I tore it to shreds.
What, am I supposed to keep the shampoo in one piece? We're crazy.
Exactly. I drank all of that. So yes, the next morning he takes off in a carriage. His taxi service has arrived from the Count. And yeah, everyone is... I don't think actually they're related to the Count, these guys. They're just riding in that general direction. And so he hitches a ride in this carriage. And everyone's on board the carriage is still very wary of the sun setting. And so they are hurrying. They're bloody hustling here. But they get to a point and they're like, no, we'll go no further because... Not for a fortune... Because here begins the land of phantoms. And so, yeah, he's got to, hoof it on foot from now on. as everyone disappears backwards. And but who should pick him up but another carriage driver driven by like, how to describe this guy? He's got like a big robe and a feathered cap. He's like an agent of Count Olurk or Orlurk, whatever his name is. He's a very weird looking dude, but his carriage goes so fucking fast, like Need for Speed pace. Hot Pursuit here. Like this carriage is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just sped up horse footage, folks. But
oh
my gosh, it is the first but not the last entry into vampires looking silly when they're supposed to be fast in a movie, because like the rest of the whole Twilight franchise, they also just speed up footage for their vampires, and it's also incredibly goofy in a way that no one intended.
There you go. Maybe it's just a very nuanced reference to Nosferatu instead of a terrible filmmaking decision.
I like that. I'm giving all my benefits of the doubt now.
There you go. Shoutouts to you, Twilight. Oh my god. So he arrives at the castle, and then his like ride disappears behind him. There's like he goes through these big old doors, and there's a guy that comes out to meet him, and it's the bloody Count himself. He's just out and about in town. It's supposed to be the middle of the night, but things are looking very bright out.
Yeah. At one point, they just inverted the footage to like make it look dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's real weird. I felt like I was like in a My Chemical Romance video briefly when I was watching the carriage just inverted. It was great.
It was, I think it was actually impossible to film at night in 1922, so they just kind of had to do the best they could and kind of trust that the audience would be like, oh, there's a vampire on screen, so therefore it must be night.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They just, there was no like lighting rigs or anything that they could deploy probably, so they just worked with what they could and used the cards. They were like, look, you're bloody late, it's midnight. Come on in. I'm a busy Nosferatu, okay? You gotta...
I got lots to Nosferatu do.
Oh, yeah. But I did like that he just came out to greet him himself. I think presumably because everyone else is dead.
Yeah.
But fair enough, because he's like, my servants are all asleep. And it's like, we don't see any servants ever. So I think he's ate them all. But fair play to him.
Almost definitely.
Yeah. So they have a spot at dinner inside the Count's castle, which is some nice decor. He's got like a huge checkerboard floor and this like grand dining table, all the classic kind of castle vibes here. Very good. And he's reading over the arcane runes sent to him by the real estate department, and he's like, yes, this appears to be all in order. And then we're in the middle of money here, but unfortunately this is when we get a clock going off in the film, because there's a skeleton alarm clock that is canon to Nosferatu that I'm thrilled to see. I want this.
I assume you immediately tried to find it.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. It doesn't exist as far as I know. I think this is custom. But it's like a little skeleton who uses a mallet to ding a bell to atop a clock. And I just love that. That's very good. It's the original cuckoo clock. It was just a little skeleton. They're like, actually, this is
Spookoo clock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, people are hiding on the hour. They don't want to see it.
So they don't have to see this spooky skeleton emerge.
Yeah. Very quick bit of skeleton news. A beloved
skeleton
segment.
News.
If a skeleton comes up, Home Depot has sold out of their huge skeletons, but Best Buy has an 8-foot skeleton for sale. So, skeleton news.
That is not 10 feet. That is 2 feet less than required.
Right?
All right, Best Buy, live up to your fucking name.
Yeah.
I'm so angry about that skeleton news. I'm glad that other skeleton substitutes are available, but I'm disappointed by their lack of reach. You know? It's just a powerful thing in America that's happening.
Yes. Speaking of reach, if you can ship us a 12-foot skeleton here in New Zealand, that'll be much appreciated.
Yeah, I will put it on the roof of my 2-story house, if at all possible.
That'd be amazing. It'd be so much
taller. He's going to be interfering with, like, planes.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Trying to catch birds.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Very spooky. So yeah, as part of dinner, Harker is sort of freaked out by his host, and he accidentally cuts his finger, to which the Count gets up, springs up out of his chair, and he's like, "Blood! Your precious blood!" And comes over and he tries to have a wee sip, which is like a little obvious, a little bit on the nose. The account? You think you got to try and like at least you bought him dinner first, but like you got to butter him up a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, so he's obviously freaked out by this, and then like backs away into the lounge room or whatever, and his host is like, "Well, I've got the whole day to sleep, so let's have a wee chat about everything." And yeah, we cut away from this. Thankfully, we don't have to have 6 hours of talk with Count Orlok, but that would be fun, regardless. But just to hear what he's been up to. I bet his stand-up material is terrible when he's just like, like lying in a. It's like, you know, when you're having a sleep and the sound of the rats keeps you awake. Am I right?
You ever drink in someone's blood and then you get some cholesterol in it?
Oh man, crazy. Oh my god, ridiculous. But yeah, so luckily Harker is saved by the sun rising and Count Orlok disappearing, and so yeah. He's just nowhere to be found the next morning. He's like, oh, thank goodness. But he does wake up with some weird marks on his neck, which we can't really see in the footage, but we know exist. Because he mentions them in the letter later on. Yes, we've been told later on that he got bit, basically. And he's like, that's weird. And then he tucks into a bit of breakfast as we go into Us and Them. And he's out exploring the castle grounds, which are glorious, by the way. He's having a grand old time up on the mountain. And yeah, he writes a letter to Nina and says that about how things are going. He talks about the bite marks on his neck, and he chalks them up to basically like spiders biting him or mosquitoes or something.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. He's like, I don't know. Even in the letter, he just writes like, yeah, I'm not sure. And that he's also been having some terrible dreams. But he's having a good old time. He doesn't mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, spirit's still high at this point, despite everything. Yeah, and he posts the letter. Like, a guy appears on a horse and he hands them the letter. The original post service operating even here to Dracula's castle. So...
Oh yeah!
Shout outs to that. Even Dracula gets to send messages. Very good. So it says at twilight that the castle comes alive with shadows. And that's just that intro to the next scene. It doesn't mean anything, but I do like it. And then, yeah, it's like we see that the Count is poring over these arcane runes again, the documents, and he's keen to purchase the house, which is across the road from Nina and Harker's house, by the way. It's this abandoned mansion that's there, and he's like, that would be perfect for that. And as he's looking over these things, Harker has dropped or had on his desk a portrait of his wife that he was carrying with him to remind him of her. I guess not a photo, I don't think, but a painted portrait of Nina, and to which the Count picks up and he says, is that your wife? What a lovely throat. I love that. I love the energy of complimenting someone's throat. That's
not even
so
neck,
scary
all the way. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Would love to watch
what
her
a lovely
eat some
throat.
soup. Wow.
It's very strong. He's got away with words, the Count. He accepts the real estate as satisfactory, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm all right. I'm ready to move in now that I've said that weird thing about your wife. Let's do it. I'll sign on the dotted line."
I'm just checking if you're chill by saying that, and you're chill enough to live next to.
Yeah, for sure. So Harker's like a little bit freaked out at this point, and he has another read of his book, and it says that the Nosferatu drinks the blood of the young by biting a victim's throat. The use of the word throat is not lost on him. And it's at this point that our friend the skeleton clock goes off again, heralding the arrival of the Count, which is great. He goes to investigate, opens his door, and he just sees the Count like creepily standing at the end of the hall. Which is very good. And he doesn't have his costume on, because up until now the Count has been wearing like a hat and a cloak and a big scarf around him, so that you can't really see how like fucking weird he is. But he's just standing here in this like black buttoned down trench coat, and you see his like fangly hands and pointed ears and sharpened teeth. He's a creepy boy, and he's here.
Oh yes,
the Nosferatu. I love him. And the Pink Floyd, we're in Us and Them still, and we get the short, sharp shock little thing. What do you call that? God, ad-lib?
Interlude, ad-lib. Interview,
the
ad-lib,
little vocal sample thing plays as the Count opens the door by itself. Like it magically opens with his vampire magic, and he enters very slowly over this. It is a short, sharp shock for us. And Harker is just like, doesn't know what to do really, and just sort of hides in his bed, like covers himself up with his covers to protect himself from the monster. It's very good. And we cut away from him to Nina back at home, who is sleepwalking. She senses that Harker is in danger and like sleepwalks to the balcony. And the the caption card describes this as a somnambulistic dream, which I had to look up, which just means a sleepwalking dream. Like if you're somnambulistic, it means you sleepwalk, which is a crazy word.
Yeah, ambulistic is in the official term for tightrope walking as well. So we're slowly reverse learning.
There
you go. Yeah. Slowly reverse learning Latin on the show. Thank you, Count Orlok, for teaching us the ways. I assume that he like usually speaks Latin, and everyone around him's like, okay, I guess I remember some. Jeez. Just so rude. Get some learning in you, Count. Gosh, you bugger. Learn our ways too.
Oh man, he'll be great in the remake coming out 2022. The 100 Years remake. They should actually do that. I would really love to see a movie released every 100 years like this. That'd be cool.
It should just be a sequel.
Thing. Yeah,
it's 100 years later.
Man, be very good. But yeah, so she weirds the friends that she's staying with out by climbing up onto a railing and then fainting. Thankfully, falling into the arms of one of the friends rather than over the side. But it's a bit of a scary time. Getting a bit spooked. And yeah, Nosferatu, meanwhile, our boy, casts a shadow over Harker. And Nina wakes up again and calls out to him, and and like over the many miles, the Count like hears this, turns around, and like is warded off by, I guess, her protection. I don't know. It's like he just disappears. He takes his leave very, very slowly. As we go into any color you like. But yeah, he's repelled by her in her dream. She's like, I don't know, what is it? Lucid dreaming. And she's dream hopped into Harker's mind or something to protect him. I don't know.
Some sort of Nightmare on Elm Street 3 situation. She's like a dream warrior. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the dream warrior. Okay. Now you're speaking in my language.
Of course.
They call the doctor anyway to have a look at this dream warrior, and he doesn't really know what to make of it. It as in classic 1800s doctor fashion, he's just like, oh, it's a fever. Yeah, that'll do. That's all he's got.
Hysteria? Could it be hysteria?
Yeah, it's got to be hysteria. Classic hysteria. I prescribe leeches. So Harker wakes up the next morning and he's thankfully safe. He's like, thank God. And he sort of just runs around the castle looking for where the Count hides during the day. He goes down to a crypt area, and there's an above ground tomb or like large coffin here, which he takes a peek into, and you just see the Count's face just chilling. And then, he opens up the lid, and the Count is just vibing in here, just hanging out. And I'm pretty sure this is a fake Count, because he, like, staggers away, moving the coffin, and the Count just gives no discernible reaction whatsoever. He's like ragdoll physics inside the coffin, which is very funny. It's either, like, fantastic acting or a prop, and I'm not sure which. Yeah, so Harker, like, sees him chilling in this coffin and just sort of crawls up the stairs in fear. And then he like takes a peek outside, and we see that the Count is moving. He's just like up and at him now that it's nighttime. And he's piling coffins onto the back of a carriage in super fast motion, just like picking them up under one arm, putting them on there. And then he tucks himself into one and the carriage drives away. This happens all in like maybe 5 seconds. It's so fucking quick. It's a lot to take in all at once. But he's just gone. And Harker's like, oh shit, he's on his way to like move in to my neighborhood, and I'm here in his creepy castle. So that's bad. I never told him he was leaving. This is kind of rude. But whatever. And we go into brain damage, and he has to escape the castle, and so he does the classic tear up the bedsheet and make a rope out the window, like you're a teenage girl escaping from the second story, you know? Fantastic.
This was the real reason this film was banned in Sweden. It wasn't because it was scary, it was just they didn't want to encourage any rebellion from teenage girls.
Out past curfew partying with Nosferatu. All right?
Oh, no.
I'm not here for it, girls. I'm your dad.
There's a reason they call him Nosferatu.
He's just huffing Nos, man.
Yeah.
Gosh. He's going ham. That's why he's moving so fucking fast. God. Anyway, he's like... We see all the coffins piled up on like a river pontoon, like a raft, just going downstream, which is very funny. not the funniest cartoony coffin moment in this movie, but one of the better ones. Meanwhile, Harker is gone to like the doctor because he's like drained of sapped of his energy after his the Count's been sucking his blood away. And I think this is like a nunnery or something. There's a priest looking over him or something like that. And he's seeing these coffins in his dreams. And they're like, yep, hysteria, classic. Got him again.
Yeah.
So the coffins get loaded aboard like a big ship to be taken to Bremen, where everyone is based, I guess. It's very it's weird that they have to go via ship when Harker didn't. He took a horse here, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe coffins are easier. Maybe they're easier to transport via ship. If you have like 12 coffins that you're trying to move, just put them on a ship rather than on the back of the horse. Like, that's going to be hard on that horse.
Yeah. This episode brought to you by boats.
But yeah, they're taking them away, right? And loading them onto this big ship. And they have a look inside, but it's just full of soil of earth. And so they're like, okay, that's normal. And they start moving them onto the ship. But the dockside rats are bloody loving this soil. They are crawling all over it. They're like, they're having a great time. And so they're going to follow on board the ship. They're coming along for this ride. The Count is on his way. And we get the weirdest interlude, which I didn't expect at all. There's a Dr. Van Helsing who is investigating the effects of vampirism. We get to talking about him, and he's looking at carnivorous plants. We see on screen a Venus flytrap devour a fly, and he's like, yes, this is the vampire of the plant kingdom. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? That isn't... I mean, I guess, like, in that it's carnivorous, but I don't know. I feel like this is a thing that they injected, but just because they thought it was cool. I wasn't expecting, like, a nature documentary in the middle of this film. Very strange.
It's like when I learn a fun fact and I go out of my way to drop it into, usually this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, you're the Van Helsing of our podcast for sure. I'm pretty sure that makes me the Nosferatu, so... You know?
Okay.
You're just hunting me down.
I'll allow it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I did say, not in like a bad way. I think that you're like Van Helsing's a cool guy. He hunts down Dracula in the actual.
Well, this one doesn't really hunt. This one just kind of like teaches and
it
then
just
never comes back.
Yeah. He's too busy with his bloody students. It's like, God damn it. I compare you to the modern Van Helsing, you know, with the automatic crossbow and, and all that. The hunting down the vampire.
The old Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, you're Hugh Jackman Van Helsing.
I think we've already compared ourselves to Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing on the show, so I'm for it.
Perfect. Oh my god. I'm OG Nosferatu for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If listeners have never seen us, I want them to picture Van Helsing in... Hugh Jackman and Van Helsing, and then Nosferatu in a Van Helsing wig.
Yeah, that's fully accurate. Absolutely correct, yeah. I've got the tiny little hat that he wears that's like way too small. Yeah. But it's like interfering with my... Yeah, with my large ears are getting in the way. It's a bad time. But anyway, so we get that weird little interlude as we go into Eclipse right at the end of the first play of the album. And we cut to Reinfeld, who is like going mad or something. Like the effects of Nosferatu are far reaching and have started affecting him because he's gone full Igor. He's just like scrawling things on the walls, and there's a doctor having a look at him, and he's gone out of his mind right as we get Pink Floyd singing about the dark side of the moon. Over the course of this one playthrough of the album, this man has gone completely mad. So I think that's pretty good.
That's great.
Yeah, he's obsessing over blood and just has been locked in a little cell. It's like, all right, that's where we're leaving you, boy. Yeah. He tries to fight the doctor as we get into playthrough 2. Just jumps on his back, and it's like, oh my god. And from there, we cut back to Van Helsing, who's talking about plants again. It's like, what? What is, I don't know about pacing in this movie. That's very strange.
It is, because it's, pretty much the middle of the movie as well. It's very, maybe it was, an interlude or an intermission, and you were allowed to leave and go to the bathroom while Van Helsing lectured you.
About plants? Yeah, maybe. They just knew that people would be wanting to get up out of their seat at this point, and so they're like, okay, we'll put in this bit about plants. But yeah, I'm fine with it. It's strange that this is his only role in the movie, just to talk about these plants. But whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it does remind me of another book from the young adult section of the Christchurch Library, which was Peeps. By, I believe, Scott Walker, but not the musician.
Okay.
And it was a vampire book, but every second chapter was just fun facts about parasites. And I learned a lot of fun facts about parasites.
Wow. Yeah. I think a vampire is much closer compared to a parasite than a plant. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. For sure. They're very reliant on the host. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. They should, add that to the 2022 100-year sequel starring Noel Fielding and Anya Taylor-Joy. It's just some fun parasite facts.
Yeah, and they'll call the movie Parasite.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I believe every movie called Parasite has won Best Picture, so, why not 2 for 2?
There you go. It's a foolproof strategy. To get the Academy on your side. There you go. Just make a damn good movie called Parasite. Check it out. But yeah, we go into Breathe as we see Reinfeld again is just loving watching a spider devour a fly. There's so much random animal stuff that we're just finally getting out to. But I think they were just worried that people wouldn't get what vampires are all about. That they consume the living. And so they had to make comparisons to other things in the animal kingdom, I guess.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because we take it for granted that we all have a shorthand for vampires. It's almost too far. Any vampire movie you watch now, it has to, make sure these rules apply, these ones don't, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And kind of goes out of its way, whereas this one could just invent, and then probably at some point they had to be we got to catch people up. Okay.
Yeah. Things are not going to make sense. It's been weird stuff up until now about, drinking blood and rats appearing in coffins, but, we need to set some ground rules, establish we are still on Earth here. Yeah. We cut to maybe my favorite shot in the whole movie, which is Nina just hanging out among the dunes, as it is described. She's just watching and waiting for her husband to come back. And she's down here at Crucifix Beach, Gareth, where the weather is clement and the crucifixes are plentiful. There's a crucifix for basically everyone down here at Crucifix Beach. Come on down and get yourself a cross. You won't be cross when you visit Crucifix Beach. Yeah.
Use promo code SyncFloydPod at the water.
Yeah, get 50% off a box of nails. Oh, hell yeah. But yeah, she's just vibing out here. It's a good fit for Breathe, just a beach covered in crucifixes. I don't know what the fuck this is or why it's this way. Maybe they're just worried that a beach wouldn't be spooky. And so they were like, we'll make this beach also a graveyard. But it's very funny.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, the friends of Harker come and deliver his letter to Nina here, saying that he's on his way home, and it's all the stuff that we've seen before, but it's again on screen for like a full minute so that we can be caught up in case you forgot over intermission. And yeah, she's reading it and she's like, oh, good. But she runs off to go and find him as Pink Floyd sing Run, Rabbit, Run, which I'm happy about. And yeah, Harker has recovered back at the nunnery. He's like off again on his journey, and Pink Floyd sing Race Towards an Early Grave once more. This time he cannot escape his destiny, Gareth. And yeah, we cut to the ship that the Count is on, and people are coming down with sickness. They're acting weird because the Count started like feasting on all the people on the ship. And yeah, people are freaking out. There's a report of a stowaway, and so yeah, they're like looking around. They go down and like look after this guy who's sick in a hammock below decks. And give him I think just like a swig of whiskey to get him going, or rum or something. And then, yeah, he's just lying there and they head off. But then spectrally, Nosferatu appears just lounging on a coffin as a vision. So you know that he's here. I think this is for the audience more so than anyone else, but I do like it. He does a fair bit of this, confusing. Actually. He like phases in and out every now and then, but he doesn't really use it much.
No, he uses it to get through one door, which I think was to save the awkwardness of him trying to open and close that door on camera.
I love that bit. That's like so funny. Oh god. But yeah, we go and see Reinfeld once more, who's like drawn all kinds of like horrible runes on his door, and he swipes a paper from one of his guards. And is reading about a plague that has swept through Europe, which is actually the effects of Dracula, of the Count, who is draining people of their energy and their blood. And that's what the actual plague is. He's having this like catastrophic effect on the surrounding area. I think just by existing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's bloody loving it. He's reading this headline. He's like, hell yeah, this is what I'm all about. And yeah, we get the Live for Today, Gone Tomorrow, as we see that the people on the ship are just being killed off one by one. We see the captain tossing someone overboard.
Yeah.
Basically. It's pretty brutal. And yeah, it's like everyone's just dying off, and then the first mate goes downstairs to have a check on. He's like, I'm gonna go look at the coffins down here, and he hacks at one with an axe, and then rats just start pouring out of the hole, which is scary. Like that's a pretty cool effect, because these coffins were full of dirt earlier, and now they're just full of rats, which is like ugh. No beef with rats, by the way. Rats are chill. It's just that they have this they just have this aura of spookiness about them, you know? Yeah,
and they don't want to be in coffins. They want to get out, and it just happens that spooks you.
Yeah, exactly. They're out there finding some food on the boat, you know? They aren't the ones spreading the plague in this instance. They get blamed for it, but it's all fake news about these rats.
Well, they weren't really responsible for the real plague. It was their fleas.
True. Yeah. You know, what they're carrying. In this case, a vampire. But yeah.
A vampire way bigger than them.
Yeah, just on their backs in the little coffin. But yeah. So he's like opening these coffins, trying to figure out what the issue is. And the Count rises up dramatically. He does the classic, I think this movie invents it, like pivoting from his ankles, rising up out of his tomb with his arms crossed in front of himself. The classic vampire move being established here. Very scary. The first mate is so scared by this that he leaps overboard. He's like, I'm fucking out. I'm done. Like, I've just seen the invention of vampire as a concept, and I can't handle it. I'm gone. See ya.
He didn't even have Van Helsing explain the basic science of vampire. He just had to see it.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they did it. They were worried that people in cinemas would be attempting to throw themselves overboard.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, in my combination ship cinema, where I'm screening this in the most opulent fashion possible. Amazing.
On your weird, creepy cruise ship.
Yeah. Oh man, make that movie where I invite like 6 guests to watch my film on my boat. Ooh, spooky. That'd be good. I can't think of the title. Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, so the captain's seeing this. He's like, well, there's something down there that's spooking people. It's just killed my first mate. And I don't want to make myself jump overboard, so I'm going to tie myself in place. So he grabs a rope and does a basic reef knot, tying himself to the mast, basically, or to the helm, rather. And yeah, then we see the Count just like appear and wander around the deck. Again, presumably nighttime, but there's like a beautiful sky above him. Hilarious. But yeah, he's just wandering around, and the captain sees him and just like looks scared, but we don't know what happens to him. Yeah. Nina senses that her husband is close, and there's all kinds of like weird imagery here. We get like crashing waves at the beach, Crucifix Beach, and this wind blows out a candle of one of Nina's friends, like the friends that she's staying with. I don't know what any of this is for. But yeah, she goes into like another trance, and is like, oh, he's coming. I must go to him. And they think it's about the husband, but it's actually about the Count who is approaching. And because he is pulling into harbor on a ghostly ship with no crew. Yes. Yeah. The Count like emerges out from the hold, like very, very slowly, and looks real creepy. Just like him coming out. I love him. I love every shot that I get to see his little face.
Absolutely. He is such a treat. And this is my second favorite shot of him, where he's just like slower than anything has moved, rising up. Just having a wee peek at the world.
Yeah. He's just like, he's a little animal, like a little creature just coming out of his hole, like a mole, you know? What a sweetie. But yeah, he's ready to go, and he just gets off the ship under the dead of night and is just carrying a coffin under one arm like a boombox or something. It's so funny.
This is my favorite. It's so
good. This
rules.
It's just watching him wander around holding a coffin under one arm is just so great. All the rats get off the ship as well. They're off to do a ratatouille somewhere, and Harker and Nina reunite. But I'm not caring about any of this because we keep cutting back to the Count and him just like exploring a town, and we get to see him. He's got to approach his house in the most dramatic way possible. And he just stands like holding a coffin under one arm, standing in the middle of a canoe, just riding towards his future home. What the fuck?
Yes. Oh.
Being propelled by magic. So funny. I love this energy from the Count. It's so good. Oh, I was screaming at my monitor when I was watching this. Just loving him approaching his house. Oh, so funny.
Yeah. How could you not?
Yeah, Harker and Nina are reunited, but they think that they're safe, but things are about to get real wacky because they've just got a new next door neighbor that's going to drive them up the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a sitcom waiting to happen here. And yeah, there's a bit of investigation of the crime scene on the ship because it pulled in the dead of night, and people there's like a doctor investigating, going around checking the ship's log, which tells the story about what happened on ship that they don't really know. There's this strange occurrences. They bring the captain's body, who's like died from shock or something, I think, here. Or has been completely drained of his essence. Either way, he's dead. And they get some scientists to take a look at him. The bloody astrologist scientists from Journey to the Moon here, taking a look over him. And yeah, they're all shocked, and they're like, "Oh shit!" The scientists put it together that a plague has arrived because of the rats on board the ship, and they put it out there as the words. There's a town crier who goes around telling everybody with a little drum. He beats on his drum and then announces, he forbids the people of the town to bring their sick to the hospitals, which is, I guess because they're like overloaded. I don't know. It's, whole different sort of perspective in the time of COVID, I will admit, this part of Nosferatu. But
although
I wasn't trying to make a statement.
Imagine how stoked would all be if it turns out COVID was just like there was a single vampire doing it, and once you got rid of him, it all went away. Like,
that would be kind of great.
Also, not trying to make a statement, but that would be the only COVID response the US would be prepared for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh, good. Our trillions of dollars of military budget should do this.
Though, that'd be the ads for it would be great. Stake COVID right through the heart, like that kind of thing. It'd be very fun. Oh man, I'm into it. We just need the defeat COVID like it's a monster angle, and I think then we're gonna be fine.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. There's a priest who goes around drawing protective crosses on people's doors with chalk, which is, I think, a thing that, like, another call out to a real plague. I think they actually did this for the bubonic plague when they were, like, warding it off with the power of God. You know, that's something that they did.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, and that's happening at the end of Money. Money's trailing out as the giving none away. Because no one's out. They're all locked up inside, like responsible people during a pandemic. We head into Us and Them, and Nina is having a read of that vampire book herself. Something that she was apparently forbidden from doing, which is a little bit harsh, but whatever. She's getting all like hot and heavy over it as well. She's like fainting in a chair reading about vampires. So maybe there was a reason that it was forbidden. But she reads a passage that hasn't appeared before. Apparently, if a woman pure of heart offers her blood freely to a vampire, it will break the spell, and she must keep the vampire by her side until dawn. Which is some bullshit propaganda from vampires, I think, to get more blood. I think this is a big scheme by that the vampires have somehow worked into this book, being like, yes, a woman pure of heart must do it. You bloody creeps.
Hang out with me all night.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
The font is different in the book all of a sudden. It's on a different color paper.
Yeah, the issue is that Nosferatu's handwriting is in that gothic font, and so you couldn't tell the difference. But yeah, she just, I love that she like points over to the Count who's in his house. Like she just points at us like, this guy is the worst, and like he's just chilling in his house. I think we see him in the window just vibing. It's so funny that they live right across from each other. That's just the funniest part of this whole movie. And yeah, the town is just having a bit of gossip about who's going to get struck down next because the people are getting taken out left and right by something. We see coffins being carried through the streets, and it's no good. And everyone's having a chat, spreading rumors, and Reinfeld escapes prison, his little cell. He beats up his guard and he makes a break for it and just starts running around. This is such a weird subplot that happens. This little Igor dude. We just see him like running around. He's up on a roof and people start throwing stones at him. And then he runs into a field and there's a brief cutaway to Nina who's doing some like cross stitch and looking bored out of her mind. Don't know why this is here, but it made me laugh because it serves no purpose. But yeah, they're all chasing down Reinfeld and eventually they catch him, but not before just tearing apart a scarecrow. These villagers are fairly simple in that they think that the scarecrow is him. It's very funny.
To be fair, it was at a distance and I briefly was like, whoa, they're destroying Reinhardt. And then I was like, oh no, wait, hold on.
No. It's a scarecrow out in the field. It's okay.
Oh, now they're going to have to deal with all these crows.
But yeah, they do eventually catch him. He's locked up later on, so like nothing happened. But it's not shown that they actually catch him. It's just implied, I guess. But whatever. So we cut to the Count, who's just vibing as we go into any color you like. He's hanging out by his window with his creepy hands outstretched. And Nina wakes up in her trance again and sleepwalks over to the window and throws it open, inviting him in, hoping, I think, to break the spell, perhaps, or maybe she's just under the Count's trance. It's not clear, but she opens the window for him, and the Count's like, "Oh, okay, girl, I'm on my way over. Here I come." This invitation's all he needed, and Nina faints into Harker's arms, and she's like, "Get the professor. I need the professor to help because I'm not feeling well." And so he runs off to get him because there's obviously no phone to call him up. He's got to travel to the professor's house to go and get him. But in the interim, the Count arrives. We see the classic shot from NOSFERATU, probably the one that everyone thinks about if you think about this movie, which is his shadow projected onto the wall with his creepy hand outstretched, and he's climbing up the stairs. It's really good. Great little shot.
I thought there'd be so much more of this. I thought this movie was going to be, I'll say it, a lot more stylish.
Yeah. It's from a while ago, so it's mostly the iconic stuff is condensed into these final parts. I wish some of it was more iconic, like him holding the coffin and going on that canoe. I want more of that in my life, but no, everyone talks about the creepy shadow stuff, and that's fair enough because it is good. We're going into brain damage right on time, baby, as this is happening, because the lunatic is on the grass, and here he is. It's our boy. He's got his shadowy hands projecting onto Nina and clutching at her heart. I think this is a cool shot as well, actually. Not getting enough props because he grabs, clenches his hand, causing the shadow to do the same above her heart, and she faints because of that. I think that's sick. I think that's a really cool thing. And then we see him just knelt down next to her bed having a wee sip from her neck, from her throat, which is another funny shot because you just see his little eyes peeking over. He's crouched down. Very funny. And the professor has been fetched and they're on their way back, but dawn is coming, and we see the rooster crowing atop a rooftop. And we're in the chorus of brain damage, and the Count is like, oh, fuck. He looks up and turns around. There was no skeleton clock to tell him that dawn was coming in this house. So he missed his memo. And now we get a cutaway to Reinfeld, who's in his cell, and he calls out to his master to beware.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny that he's never met the guy, but he is just he is just full servant to his Dark Lord. Hilarious.
He's a Nosferatu stan.
Yeah. I love it. I love that. But yeah, the sun is rising over the hilltops, over the not hilltops, over the buildings, over the Count's house. And he's like, let me get home before that happens. And he gets caught in the light of the open window. And he disappears in a puff of smoke. Where he disappears and then a puff of smoke has happened, actually, is what happens. But that's fine. And yeah, Reinfeld is very upset because his master is dead. But Nina is also dying. She has had most of her blood drained in the night as part of this deal with what the book told her to do. And she calls out to her husband, but dies in his arms. And we go into eclipse, and the caption card is saying that the plague abruptly ended with the vampire disappearing, and vanished with the morning sun. And we get a very quick shot of the castle destroyed. I don't really know what that's meant to mean. Maybe it's just like the destruction of the vampire also destroys the castle, but I don't know. Unclear. But that's
surely,
that's the weird final shot of the movie, because we get the end appearing on screen, and Eclipse plays us out for pretty much 2 perfect plays of an album. What did you think, and how did it sync, Gareth?
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, I was hoping for 2 perfect plays, but we get the abrupt end of all these old-timey movies. So that kind of threw me. And when I was like 19, I saw a band play in front of a projection of an old silent film. And it's like the whole time I was like, oh man, it's working so well. But I think it's just our brains are ready to see. We want a score, we want sound on our movies, so we're ready to put these old movies and like make them sync up with things, because we can't imagine that they didn't have their own sound.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I might be just describing the whole fault of the show. We just want it to happen. But I don't know. I think for me it's got to be lower than 5.
Yeah,
I'm
feeling that as well. I didn't catch that many syncs. It was like there were like, I don't know, there were some in there. There were things lining up, especially with like scene changes in this movie, but not really. Because there's no dialogue, it's a lot harder to catch things. And
that's what I was wondering. Yeah, because we obviously had an English title or caption cards. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if they're on longer than they would have been in German, or less time, and if we were getting the accurate syncage that Maximum Shrek wanted us to have. Yeah, that is fair enough, actually. Yeah, maybe this film would sync better in the original German, but I don't have time to learn another language for this show, Gareth. What?
I know. I'm so sorry.
Donate to our Patreon.
Yeah, that is the highest possible tier, James Duolingo tier, where I learn German.
You've got to pay for him to study German at university for 3 years to be an expert.
Get a degree in German. There you go. That's the highest tier. Yeah, I think it's going to probably cost me like, I don't know, 50 grand or something up front, please. Yes,
so
please. There you go. Speaking of...
I reckon... Oh, what? I want to hear your segue.
Mine was nothing. I was just going to say, speaking of 50 grand, it's got to be less than the number 5, which is not really anything. But yeah, I think it's going to be like 3, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. I really wanted it to be 4 so I could say NOSFERATU. Or 2,
that's good.
NOSFERATU.
NOSFERATU.
So, I reckon it's a NOSFERATU.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
But you're a NOSFERATU, and you're up there.
Yeah.
On the graph, we'll have a little U there as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Now we have one very important bit of Oogie Boogie business for you guys. We've met an iconic cinema villain, the first horror villain to truly eclipse the hero, eclipse the whole movie. Eclipse like a Pink Floyd song. But what if you took these horror villains and you just bloody put 4 of them together to make a Pink Floyd cover band? The question nobody's been asking, but I asked it of you, James, and of myself, and I would love to hear your horror movie villain Pink Floyd cover band.
My lineup for covering Pink Floyd. Yeah, I thought about this basically on instinct. I just wrote down the first 4 names and the first the instruments, and I was like, yep, that I went with my heart on these.
I love it.
So get ready. On lead guitar and vocals, we have The Thing from the movie The Thing. Just mainly because I think they are adaptable enough to have the range required to cover Pink Floyd, There's that one bit in The Thing where that guy is kneeling in the ice and just screaming, and that's exactly what I need, So we got The Thing. On bass guitar, we got to have NOSFERATU. We got to get him in there. Because he's got those creepy fingers, Gareth, and he's slapping away on a bass. That is just perfect. He's
that is spot on.
His eyes are open wide, and he is loving it. On drums, I have Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, the plant monster.
Very good.
Yeah, just vines covering the large array of drums that Nick Mason has to do in a typical Pink Floyd show. Nick Mason had that wheelie chair for the Pulse performance. You wouldn't need that with Audrey 2 because they're just locked in. They can operate any drum in the vicinity with vine tentacles. So
that's really good.
That's where I went for that. And on the keys, on the keyboards array, locked in there, I went with Pinhead from Hellraiser. Just giving out the creepy vibe. I just feel like Pinhead would listen to just non-stop synth, given the opportunity. So that was my pick there. So that's the lineup. We've got The Thing, NOSFERATU, Audrey 2, and Pinhead as my 4-piece cover of Pink Floyd. Here you go.
Wow, this is actually very alarming, and maybe we should have compared these first, because mine was incredibly similar.
Whoa,
I changed my mind on... I had Pinhead on keys until the last minute when I did a shuffle. Oh, man. So I also had The Thing from The Thing, but I had The Thing from The Thing on keys, laying down all the different keys, all the different synthesizers, everything that Nick Mason has to cover. And I'm thinking he might have to cover some guitar as well, because I'm not sure about my singer being able to do both. But, The Thing has enough
That is fair. I did think about that, because, you've got to... Basically, all the members are multi-instrumentalist, and they're having to switch around a lot, right? Yeah. So that makes sense to me.
Okay. And then on drums, I have Annie Wilkes, who is Kathy Bates's character in Misery.
Whoa, yeah.
She does a powerful bit of, I guess the only word is shunting in that movie.
Yes.
And I think she could bring that, imagine that on a kick drum, imagine that on the toms. Should have you settled.
I sure am.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then on the bass, I'm putting Freddy Krueger with his long fingers.
Oh, that's good. Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's also, he's got enough dream-like ideas to kind of like, take you to a new place. And then
that
on the
makes
vocals,
sense.
and probably only the vocals because I, again, can't picture him playing a guitar, it's the scary goat from The Witch, 2015.
Oh.
Yeah, Black Phillips with his beautiful, beautiful voice.
His bleak.
Yeah. It's a little different to the Pink Floyd kind of vocal delivery, but I think, maybe these guys could do a kind of slower, kind of crooning-y, Tom Waitsy kind of version of Pink Floyd for you.
Oh, yeah.
While the thing mutates away on the synth.
Yeah. Oh, I like it a lot. That's a very strong lineup as well. Premium stuff.
Loved yours. And yeah, gosh.
Great.
Well, yeah. See both of them performing at the Hollywood Bowl this Halloween. No. Send us your like spooky Pink Floyd bands on Twitter at SyncFloydPod.
Please do.
Or syncfloydpod@gmail.com. Or any of those kind of places. Just look for Sync Floyd Pod. And yeah, next week we've stumbled or blindly charged forwards into a tradition on this show where it's Halloween, Halloween week, and we've given you a month of spookies, but it's time for us to do a Halloween episode by reviewing an episode of a TV show and syncing that with Pink Floyd. Because, it's the witching hour and you've got to have something that fits comfortably within an hour.
Yeah.
So you can get some witching done.
Exactly. So much witching to be done in so little time.
So on that note, James, it's your year to choose. After I chose the Drew Carey show last year.
It's my year. I love that.
Yeah.
I've just won the whole year. It's mine this year. Get it. You had 2020. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My year is 2021, okay? Yeah. So I have one. I thought of it. You went with a spooky TV show or something that spooked you from your childhood. I tried to think back to TV shows and TV episodes that I could even remember from my childhood growing up. And I desperately thought back to just anything that I watched and I could remember that had a lasting effect. And I thought back, I was like, what was I doing when I was watching TV? I thought back to the TV Guide specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would our family would get the TV Guide and we'd enter the competitions and do like the puzzles and stuff in the back all the time.
Yeah.
And one time, I remember this distinctly, the TV Guide came with 3D glasses specifically for a TV show's episode that was coming up. And we are going to be watching that episode because it is a trip. It is a good time. It is an episode of Third Rock from the Sun called Nightmare on Dick Street Part 1. It's from Season 2, Episode 25. And it is going to be fun. It is a wild episode of TV. So I'm very excited to see how it syncs with Pink Floyd.
Perfect.
And that's going to be next week. A Halloween Oogie Boogie special. So get excited for that, listeners.
Yeah, until it's time to take a trip around that third rock that we love so much. I've been Gareth Blackler.
I've been James Barron.
Don't diss anyone's wives through rap, and we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
On the dark side of the moon, your wife sucks.
No!
Damn it, no!
The curse!